they'll lynch you. But he did, and he laughs at
Yes, everybody, Russ and the West Ham Network. Hope you are all safe and well, my friends. I genuinely hope you are all safe and well. If you're new in here, give it a like, give it a comment, give it a share, give it one of those bloody good subscribes, why don't you? It's Thursday. A few happier hammers after yesterday's performance, I think. We'll have Anton will be presenting the 5 things we've learnt from the Leeds game later on this evening. We'll also have Hammers headlines tonight with a few transfer rumours as well. But what we do on the day after the night before is we do a little dissection. We do the review show immediately after the final whistle, but the next day I tend to reflect. I tend to think and put together my players' ratings. And that's what we do these shows. It's a players' rating show. It's an interactive show, so you guys can give us your feedback in terms of the scores. You always disagree with me anyway. I'm used to it. But that's what we do. Hey, we got me Jan. Hope you're well, my friend. Webley. Hope you're well. Toby's in the chat as always. So let's crack on. Now, obviously, yesterday, having time to reflect and sit and sleep on it, there was a number of positives. I mean, Matt was being positive. Indeed. Time for Rustflections. I like it. Rustflections. Maybe that's what I should call it. Rustflections. Evening, Alan. 11:30 p.m. Fair play to you. Thanks for staying up. He still needs to go. Subs cost last night. It did hammer 89. I thought that's one of the things I think maybe we've learned is, well, not learned, but highlighted from the Leeds game was the substitutions. The substitution of Skamaka was a strange one, I thought. And what it highlighted to me, particularly with the Skamaka substitution, was Antonio's. He's gone in it. He's gone, and he's been gone for the last 18, at least last year. Just looks like I know he's 32, 33, something like that at the moment, and it showed. That's what we need, I think, and I think actually now you're comparing Antonio to Skamaka or Skamaka to Antonio, you really, really don't realise I think we realise what a striker is. We've had this sort of prolonged period without Antonio, who's not a striker. Not discrediting, obviously he's the Premier League, our all-time Premier League goal scorer. But there's no plan B. There's no plan B, there's no plan C. And we've been talking about that for a long time. Hammer's headlines tonight, there's a few people we'll be looking at, and actually they could offer at plan B or an alternative to Antonio, so keep an eye on that. He's deluded playing Kira at left back. What's that tell him? We need a left back. Indeed. What does that tell the likes of Aaron Cresswell and Emerson as well? The fact that they can rather put in a left, and also someone like Ben Johnson as well. Surely. Evening, Darren. Hope you're well. I'm very well, thank you. Returned back from my jaunts in America for the last 2.5 weeks. Still got a stinking cold. There was too much talk. There was so much talk about Kira left back being on the bench. 4 throw-ins led to goals. There's so much. You're totally right, David. We switch off with throw-ins. I don't get it. I thought yesterday we got done by. I thought Dawson played okay, but it was. The first goal particularly was a really clever move, but it just. Both sides could have won that game yesterday. Both sides could have won. Antonio's lost it, mate. Bench players base will be okay. I don't even think he's good enough for the bench, I'll be honest at the moment, mate. That alternative comes on, you think, okay, brilliant. 20 minutes to go, half an hour to go. Off you go, son. Off you go, fill your boots. Just didn't. Or the alternative is, and we mentioned it at the review show afterwards, is, if he is going to be this impact bench player, don't bring him on as a striker impact. Bring him on and play him on the wing. I mean, he drifts out there anyway. You might as well just do that, and it gives an alternative to Bowen. It gives an alternative to the left-hand side. We've got no real pace on the left-hand side. From an attacking perspective, we've got the guile of someone like a Ben Rama, but no counter to the pace of Bowen on the right-hand side, who's not rapid, but it gives it... I for me, and I think Alan mentioned it. No, not Alan, sorry. Hammer 89. A left back is critical, and also a second striker. Could have played Scarles. Great shout. Yeah, Ollie Scarles. I think you think it would have been a perfect opportunity for him as well. Also, Areola with the same second. I don't know, Hammer, to be honest. In the same way that I think Fabianski kept to the game towards the end. I know Matt was very critical of his goal. I thought he played okay. He did spill one, but Areola's not without making mistakes as well. I find him, he has that sort of Adrian quality. Do you know what I mean? That sort of slightly craziness about a goalkeeper, which I don't mind. But I think they were two good shots. And they were both very powerful shots as well. He did make one class save, Toby, right at the end, particularly off Cooper, I think it was. Anyway, let's get into the ratings. So the idea of the ratings is, I give you my views, you give me your views. Very rarely do we agree, but we're all West Ham fans. That's the one thing we can agree with. So let's start. Let's start with Fabianski. Good shout there, Russie B. Let's start with Fabianski. So now my view. Let's bring up my list. I've written a list. I think first off, he was pretty quiet and not much to do apart from take the ball at the back of the net, in all honesty. He spilt one. There was one cross he did spill. But I don't think he can be blamed for the opening goal, to be honest. And in fact, minutes later, with Notto, who I think is a fantastic player, I was really gutted we didn't go for him in the summer because I thought he was a live wire the whole game, and I did mention that before kickoff. He saved one of his. Not a lot. I don't think he'd be really criticised looking back at that Rodrigo goal. In all honesty, and as Toby said, he did make a great one-on-one save from Rodrigo, and I think he made one from Cooper as well towards the end. And that's maybe even a couple from Rodrigo, I think. Let me know in the comments what you would have rated Fabianski out of 10. No half points in this game. What we got here, morning Ludders or afternoon. Ariana does have that second goal. It does save. It was essential. Time we move on. I thought we would have moved on from it. I thought yesterday would have been Areola starting and then Fabianski playing against Brentford in the cup. But what's it meant to be? 6, 4, 7, 6. At best only because of the save. Russie B actually gave him... what did I give him? I gave him a 6. So, yeah, quite a similar score there. Sam gave him a 5. Let's move on and talk about Kira. Let's talk about Kira. So, obviously, playing left-back. Anton went through all the positions he's played for at West Ham already in his career. It's like left-back, it's like left-sided centre-back, right-sided centre-back, back three, right-back. He can actually do a job defensive midfield as well, to be honest. MOTR 1912, no fault for the goal. Save was brilliant. 7. There we go. Started on the left. It didn't work, did it? It was. I don't really understand the reasonings behind it. We've mentioned the likes of Ollie Scarles. We've mentioned the effects of Emerson, Cresswell, Ben Johnson. Soufal can play left back as well. There was a number of different options before we got to Tino Kira. So there must have been some thought process going, which I never really understood fully. I mean, he was benched for the first time in the league since signing for the Brentford game. Recalled, started at left back. It was awful. I think by half time he'd lost in possession 11 times. And Aronson, their right sided player, had an absolute field day against him. Because naturally, the way he wants to turn, he's right footed, so he's going to turn that way. So Aronson had him on toast, to be honest. Now, actually, apparently he is left footed, but he's predominantly right footed. Makes more sense. Early on, played poorly. He put Rodrigo through on goal quite early on in the game. Moved to right back with Soufal going off, but didn't really have much of improvement. His confidence was shot. Confidence was absolutely shot, to be honest. Let's see some of the scores from some of the comments about Tilo. 5 from Ludders, and that hurts Ludders. That will hurt Ludders. Ludders is always quite a good high scorer. No half points this game, Michael. You know that. Hadamere again. He doesn't know where he is. 2, so arrogant at the ball. One of the worst performances I've seen from a West Ham defender. And you've probably seen Roger Johnson play. Not blaming Kira. I blame Moyes a 4. Well, at the same time, if he wasn't happy, he'd speak up. I don't think Kira's shine going forward if he wasn't happy. Looked like he was playing with Wellington boots on. Chucked under a bus by Moyes, but wasn't great last night. I agree. Wasn't our worst defender, though. A 5. A 1. Wow, a 1. What did Rusty B give Tilo? I gave Tilo a 5. A 5 from Rusty B. Maybe I was being a bit generous, to be honest. Let's move on and talk about Nayef again. Obviously making his Premier League debut, his full Premier League debut at centre-back, following obviously signing in the sum of £30 million. Obviously, his season, it's crazy to think we're in January and he's only just made his debut, his full Premier League debut. But obviously, the injury against Rangers in the pre-season hampered his season at all in terms of getting any progress. Looking back at the goals, I'm not sure he has some blame. I think it was mainly on the Dawson side, to be honest, but he covered a lot of people's backs. He covered Tierlo's a few times as well. He has that pace to track, to get back and really sort of cover, mistakes. He wasn't quick enough to cover Dawson's mistakes, in all honesty. On the ball, we know he's good, and so his sort of natural defensive instincts. He manages to get into the positions. He reads the game very, very well, we know. Missed a header, like in the first half. Was it first half? Yeah, I think it was maybe second half. Better in the second half. Not a bad full Premier League debut. That's not fair to say. We want Moisey out. Say we want Moisey out, says Snazzy Azzy. Again, 8, 7 from Helen. 6, touch of brilliance at the hat, but not match sharp. We know that. 6, 7. Shown he is going to be great for us. I totally agree. First start last night. Tough job at Leeds. Would have benefited starting against Brentford before last night. A 6, he will improve. No, and quickly. Yes, I totally agree. I mean, you see how well he came out from injury for Morocco in the World Cup. And how integral he was really in that. Let's see. What did Rusty B give him? I gave him a 6. As you said, lots of room. There's room for improvement. Green shoots. There's green shoots there. We know what a quality player he is. We know why we've been tracking him for almost 2 years. I mean, last year it was him or... year before last, it was summer before last. It was him or Zuma. We got Zuma. This year we got the other one. And I think 2 of them together can be very, very strong. And even at a back 3, if we played a back 3 of Tilo of Aged, Zuma, and Tilo Killer, I think that could be a nice 3 as well going forward. There's options there. What we got? How many shambolic decisions Moyes has to make before he gets a sack? Again, 6. He's already might straight in. Dawson 6. Let me talk about Dawson. Craig Dawson. Where's my notes? Where's my notes gone for Craig? Another new centre-back partnership for Mr. Dawson. I don't know how many he's had, but I don't think he's played. He must have only played with the same centre-back once or twice this season. It's mental how the injuries and stuff have hampered that. Solid as always, aerially, positionally. I think he was more at fault for the goals, in all honesty, particularly the first goal. That was his side that came through on. I mean, to be honest, I think Leeds should have probably done better and scored a couple more goals, in all honesty, looking at it in the cold light of day. But I thought he played okay. Probably the best game he's played for the last couple of weeks, maybe. He's not been the dominant centre-back that we've all grown to love, in all honesty. Dawson 6. He needs sacking. Won't win another game of this fella, says Andy. Dawson is the player he was the last 2 years. Wants out, so let him go and get another fullback in. I don't think the whole team, Alan, is the same. Is the player are the players that we were usually. Well, that's what we were saying in the highlight show afterwards. Usually, where you get a situation where one or two players might be out of form. I think 2/3 of our starting 11 are out of form. That's really unusual for so many players to be out of form, and just shows you when they hopefully get back into form. Hopefully, we'll have some sort of something to rest our hopes on. Is Dawson even? It's dependent, I think, of Kurt's recovery. By all accounts, he's not too far away. I'll be surprised if you see him play on Saturday in the Brentford game, but maybe the Wolves game could be. They did say Wolves was the date penciled in when he originally had his surgery in terms of recovery, but and obviously we've got Luis Al now from Sao Paulo. So maybe one more, maybe, there is talk, I know there's talk about Michael Keane, who is quite keen about moving to West Ham. He could be our new Craig Dawson. I know people scoff at Michael Keane, and I know I saw someone else report us being linked with Harry Maguire, but in the same way that we were laughing when we signed Craig Dawson. Could Michael Keane be our new Craig Dawson? Who knows? Is everyone going mad about boys playing? So the same people demanding a change of Cresswell. Soufal's the right left back. Why wouldn't be able to do a job? That's on Kira. No, I agree. I know, Tabes. I agree. Dawson 5 evening after the Neil. Hope you're well. Dawson 7 was 100%. Worst game for us last night was at fault for both goals. Moses and the parting of the Red Sea. Great shout. That's a great way of saying it. I wouldn't say it was massively at fault for the first goal. Just great play from Leeds. It was, but I think they didn't track the runner. He was right. It was the right back. He went to the right wing and he ran across the goal. And then it was. And then was it Somerville took the pass, and he gave the old eyes, which is like a real old-fashioned thing. Gave the eyes, and then gave the ball in middle. Someone who's experienced as Dawson should have had that radar picked up on. In all honesty, I think Russie B gave Mr. Craig Dawson also a 6. Right, let's move on. Let's talk about Soufal, Vladimir Soufal. I mean, he was unlucky not to score a goal. That'll be his first goal for West Ham. 45-yard shot, trying to chip the keeper, and he landed on the top netting. That'd have been pretty cool. I thought he played really well yesterday. I think it's probably his best game for a long time for us. Defended well, particularly early on, showed signs of trying to link up with Paqueta and Bowen. A good performance, offensively and defensively. Got some really good crosses in, I thought, as well. He wound up Somerville enough for him to lash out. Very fortunate for him not to get sent off, in all honesty. I thought he did really well. I thought he played his best game for a while with old Vlad, to be fair. He hasn't played well, and, so much so we've had, Tina's been playing right back, Ben Johnson, there's talks of us looking at a right back as well. There's talks of Soufal maybe leaving to go to the likes of Bayer Leverkusen. But I thought he played really well, and it was good to see. Because he's going to give his all. He'll keep running. You play him and keep running. He had one leg. He had one knee left by the end, and he kept on going. Soufal played better, was unlucky with the 85th. Yep, gave blood for the team. We love it when literally people bleed. Bit of claret. I remember Tommy Suchek was at Spurs. He literally put his head in front of the ball, so someone didn't score. Love it. Best game for a while, 7. Gets an 8 as he battled well. 7. Russie B also, I believe, I also gave him a 7. I thought he played really well. And long may it continue. His best game for us this season. He ain't great, but battled hard. Should have had the bloke red carded. Career-threatening challenge. A 7 from Andy. There we go. So, on the same page sometimes. That's crazy. Let's talk about Declan Rice. Obviously, captain. Obviously, there's a lot of criticism on social media for him and people calling him out, and he was quite adamant. He was actually responding to a lot of the criticism, which part of me was like, fair play. Part of me was like, is that just going to bring more people because they want to wind him up or make him acknowledge them? Are you going to get some more idiots turn up? I don't know. But found himself in the wars quite early on. Got a kick in the head from Rodrigo. Again, drew blood. More claret. Claret was spilt. Found himself doing well. Yeah, he's moving the ball forward, playing more defensively. He was playing more in the role that he plays for England and the role that he was successful with West Ham. Now, again, we spoke about it quite a lot yesterday in the highlight show. Appreciate his desire to want to become a box-to-box defender, midfielder, and try and score goals and go forward. But for England, he plays a specific role. When he goes, whenever that will be, to another club, to a Chelsea, so I'm just going to be my to a Chelsea or a Man City or a Real Madrid or a Liverpool or whoever who's willing to spend the money, he's not going to go in as a box-to-box defender. He's going to midfielder. He's going in to do the same role that he does for England and does it very well. He's got it in his locker to have these surging forwards. I liken him a little bit to the way Yaya Toure used to play for Man City. Arguably one of the best defensive midfielders ever in the Premier League. Didn't score a ton of goals. Occasionally would take the ball and run into the box and do these right. But he knew his role. And definitely there is a better balance with Declan Rice playing in the more holding role. And I know it must frustrate him, but actually I think it worked well. I love that Russ has to guess what rate up. Mate, I did it last night. We need more players like Sufa's attitude, indeed. I mean, fair enough. By all accounts, Sufa went up to Moisey. We've heard the rumours, the stories a couple of weeks ago, and asked why we're not playing. What have I got to do to play? And so, fair play. After the bunch, I'm going to give a blanket 6 everyone except to Pablo, who has a 6. Fair enough. That's you done. Hit the like button, of course. Don't forget to hit the like button, peeps. Much appreciated. 8 for Deckers. That passed in the end. The half volley is ridiculous. 7, 8, 8. Solid last night. Gives his all. He's created some issues around some of his comments, but he does generally get. That's what I mean. That's exactly what I'm trying to say, Andy. It's sort of like it's a yin and yang approach, really, to how you can look at that. Is his usual hard work, but back in defence, he's better. I totally agree. 7, not just for him, maybe not as a personal note, because he must be frustrating. He was a frustrating attacker, really. But he wasn't originally a defender. He was a centre back by trade. But for the team, there's just a lot more balance. Breaks up something he does indeed. He's usually a hard worker. 7, Russie B. Also gave Declan Rice a 7. Solid game. Basically said more of the old Declan Rice, and I think that will benefit us as a unit. And also, it puts people. I mean, that's what he's known for. That's what he's made a career for England for, and and other teams are looking at him because he's so unusual to have a player who can do that, but also has got it in his locker to ping balls and take it forward if he needs to. Epic hash time gave a 5. Fair play, fair enough to you. Let's move on. Let's talk about Paqueta. Let's talk about Lucas. Got his first goal for West Ham in a West Ham shirt when he took the penalty. Tried to be clever with that penalty, and he did the whole sort of stop and mislaid him, fall for it, and he's like shit, and then all his momentum had gone, but he managed to still get the ball in, which was good. Obviously playing a deeper role, and we know that Moyes is looking at making him more of a deeper role. And obviously, in essence, when we saw the team sheet, we were like, oh God, he's playing Souček in that role, and Paqueta's going to be playing a 10. In reality, that didn't happen. It was more Souček was pushing forward, and again, being more advanced in a more advanced role, which actually, I think, benefits the side and benefits Souček a little bit as well. Got a lovely he does pick unusual passes, which I really like. Sometimes when the easy pass could have been sort of down the middle, he's taking it out to the right. It's probably his best game for us. Definitely his best game for us. Moved the ball around the box. Sometimes he's lacked that this season. Didn't get the ball away as much as he has done before. But his creativity is the key to West Ham, I think. And there was large chunks, particularly in the first half, where Leeds were camped in their half, and Paqueta was just being able to just move the ball around. a lot to like in terms of his performance, I thought. There'll be somebody I guarantee say, oh shit, but it's up to you. Gets a 7, 8, 8, 6 moments, but lost the ball a lot again. But that's what you get with a creative player. It's the same as Ben Rama. You know, people criticise Paqueta for losing the ball are the same people who think that Ben Rama should be playing a lot more. Ben Rama loses the ball quite a lot because he's trying to be creative. And I think you have to take that. The only issue with Paqueta doing that is he's playing this deeper role. There's only one line of defence behind him. But there's two now because Declan Rice is playing more defensively, so that does give him a little bit more licence. Finally scored, even though it was a penalty. His overall play is a lot better, and now he's scored and might kick on better alongside Bright. Starman, started to see the Brazilian Paqueta last night on an 8, penalty was quality. More Noble being influenced at the dressing room, saw him arriving and over the squad. Well, obviously, until recently, obviously he's only just taken up his sporting director role today, as of 3 days ago. He was previously in the director's spots quite a lot for the games, but I think the last but one game, I think the last one before the World Cup, he was in the dugout. I think the Crystal Palace game, he was in the dugout, so it'd be interesting. Noble's first job is to be shown boys the door. PCADS gave him a 7, improved. I gave Lucas Paqueta a 7, and he was my Starman. I thought he played very well. And it's the performance I wanted to see of Paqueta because it gives him now a standard which now he can improve on, and I think that will benefit the team tremendously. I don't expect it to play at Brentford, but with Wolves next week, and then we've got Everton, we've got Nottingham Forest. We need him to be pulling the strings, and then starting to get double figures in goals. That's what you need at Leon consistently. I know he's a risk taker, but sometimes I'd rather he played the easy pass in possession. Probably a 7 if he wasn't the £51 million marquee player. Yeah, fair enough. What actually does this? We don't know, and he doesn't know either. He's learning on the job as well, isn't he? But I think it's. I did some sort of like Venn diagram, and Mark Noble was in the middle of everything. So in terms of academy, in terms of player relationships, in terms of recruitment, he's in the middle of it all. He's going to be right in the middle of it. Tommy Souček. There's my notes on Tommy Souček. Obviously, he was benched for the first time of the season against Brentford, and was quickly recalled back for this game, which surprised me, particularly when it came to looking at his, the press conference. Boys talked about the partnership between Paqueta and Rice, spoke about the number of central midfield players we've got, and Souček was the last in the list. So it's almost like he'd been forgotten. But that wasn't the case. He was straight back into the side. A lot of groans, I know, when the team was announced. However, he was in the more attacking role. He's playing as a 10, to be honest. Won a lot of balls in the air, which you would expect for someone who's 6'5". But that gave a little bit more physical presence, particularly at the upper end of the pitch, where we tend to lack. Once you get past Skamaki, you've got quite a lot of young, small players. Bowen, Ben Rama, Fornals. So it's nice to have someone with a little bit more grit about him, just to help out Skamaka a bit, and take a little bit of that pressure off the physicality of the attacking third. A few crosses went his way, but he just couldn't meet him. He was unlucky to get. He did score technically, but it was well offside. After the break, not so much so. I think the games will caught up with him a little bit more, maybe because he was doing a bit more running. I don't know, but yeah, it was a bit sort of redundant second half. Souček 6'5", too slow, looks more and more awkward in front of goal, but improved performance. Still has a bit to do to get back in the game form, but it's an improved effort. Should have started last night. Should have started 54%. But then, Andy, his role wasn't really around pass completion. He wasn't around pass. It was about more his physical presence. And I think his aerial duels were won every aerial duel, which was more of the role he was playing. Same as you look at Paqueta. If you look at, I think Paqueta had a 60-70% pass completion rate, and arguably his job is to do passing. 6. I love him, but I'm not sure where in this place in the New Look team. I think a better ball player in his position would bring Skamaka in 10 times more. I think there's the option of bringing Skamaka in as a 10 and playing Bowen up front. That's when he played when he was with Raspadori and Sassuolo. Him and Raspadori would switch, and I actually quite like that as an idea. Russie B gave Mr. Tommy Souček a lovely 6. as you said, much improved. Not back to his best at all, but nice to see him in a slightly more attacking formation, I think. Let's talk about Pablo. I'd like to see Pablo see it. Yep. Is my imagine every time Downs comes on, it looked positive. He needed more time on the pitch than Souček. No, I agree. And I think it's almost like a. I think when Downs comes on, it's almost like he's bringing Downs on. Fair play. There's always you're probably right. Always a sense of positivity with Downs coming on. I think he'll be the inevitable replacement for Tommy Souček. But then you do miss the physical presence. He's not a massive player in terms of physically Downs is, but he gets it about. He's a West Ham fan as well, which is something which is always good to have in the squad. Pablo, he found himself back in the starting 11. I mean, I thought particularly, you look at, he started ahead of Benrahma, who's our top goal scorer this season, I think. And there was a bit of, but I think what you don't get with Benrahma, that you do get with Pablo, is energy. And we needed an energetic side. We needed a big performance. And I think Pablo does bring that. He might not have the guile or the skill of a Benrahma, but he's got the heart and passion. And that's infectious. Several times yesterday, his high pressing, he won the ball back off the goal kick from Leeds when they were doing their little silly passing out of the box. There's a couple of times where, and obviously the first Skamaka's goal was due to the high press as well, and you get that energy. Pablo didn't. I mean, he was starting on the left. He was all over the bloody place. I thought he was really good. Ran his socks off, battled for every ball as you can imagine. Got in some good attacking areas. Had one half chance off Paqueta. To set him up, but Paqueta couldn't get the shot away. There was once where the ball was played to him relatively in the middle. I think he was offside, but he was in the right position. I thought he worked his socks off. Let's see, we've got 7, 6, worked hard, had to stifle his game because, fair play. Embarrassment in front of goal, but worked hard. We have the shot, it was. 7, works hard for the team, but looks a poor imitation of 2-3. Andy, I think that could be a phrase used for everyone. Poor imitation of previous 2 seasons. Left his shooting boots at rush green, sadly. A 6. Love Pele, tries his heart out, but he has to stop trying to score. Better to pass to Skamaka, Bowen, and he should be playing a 10 with Benny on the left. Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing Benny at the 10 and Pablo on the left, but that's just my own preference. I think Benny's got a lot to offer from a skill perspective. I gave Pablo a 7. I thought he had a very strong game. I know Budgie gave him an 8 because he gave everyone else a 6. Let's talk about Bowen. Jared Bowen. Third game in a row that Bowen has won a penalty. No one's brought that up about. It's the third game in a row he's won a penalty. Although only 2 of them were given. He should have got that penalty the other day. I mean, he's got quick feet, and Robin Koch had to bring him down. Well, it was too quick for him. It was a Stonewall penalty. Frustration how it takes so long for them to make that decision, but it was quite clearly a Stonewall penalty. I thought he never looked like scoring himself yesterday, but again, running, directness, looking more and more like himself. It's taking time for him to get back to his form that it was so explosive last season, but he's getting there. It's just the same as everyone else. Everyone else is just getting there, frustratingly. Sharky's giving him a 7, a 7, a 7 from Michael. He needs a goal. He needs some again. He's very much a confidence player. When Bowen's on fire, when he's on fire, and the next game he's on fire because it breeds confidence. And hopefully this game, a couple of goals for people who have not scored prolifically, but since signing for the club, Paqueta and Skamaka as well, may breed confidence with them, and then that permeates for the rest of the team. That's what we need. That is what we need. 6 is another that is slowly coming into form. One as a penalty worked hard for me. Most improved places to World Cup break. Looks fitter. A 6. 7 but needs to go outside once in a while and cross in for a 6'5" strike. Not always Kane, indeed. Bowen 7. Russie B gave Mr. Jared Bowen if I can press the right button. A 7 as well. Quite boring, really. Giving a lot of 7s. And let's talk about Gianluca. Do you know it's been almost 3 months since he last scored a goal at West Ham? Crazy, isn't it? 3 months. Albeit 1 month we were off for the World Cup, but still. I thought yesterday his hold-up play was excellent. He was a true striker yesterday. That's what I love to see, and that's when he comes off for Antonio, you lose so much of that ability to just put it high up and just let him hold on to the ball and bring players in. He drops off. He likes to get players involved. A few cross-field balls I saw yesterday. Obviously, we've got the goal. The high press, intercepted the pass. Great finish. I mean, that was inch perfect. And a first-time finish. He's on 7 goals this season already for us. I think he's clearly going to be double figures this season, or maybe even maybe break 15 goals. I can't remember the last time Antonio would have got 10, 11, something like that. I'll have to have a look back. May even be Marlon Harewood. I don't know. I'll have to check. But I thought he was exceptional. And again, a surprise to everyone when he came off at half-time. Or halfway for the second half, rather. Very strange. Very strange, because I thought he had the running of Cooper and Koch. It sounds like a really rubbish cop drama, doesn't it? It's Cooper and Koch. Fighting crimes, one day from retirement. But no, I thought and that goal, you just saw the confidence. And I'd be surprised if he plays against Brentford on Saturday. I think Antonio will play. But that Wolves game, that's what we need. We need confidence. Every game coming up is a must-win game for us. Next 3 or 4 games are must-wins because they're with the types of teams around our area. So it is Wolves, it is Everton, it is Nottingham Forest. We need to start getting some goals and start finishing these teams off. Would love to see Bowen play a game at left wing. Never happened, James. Schumacher 8 was able to drop deep and play a natural game. Scamart gets a 7. He's silky and smooth. AF for a big man, but sometimes I want to see him beastly headers. He should dominate like Andy Carroll. Scored a belter. Ball sticks to him. Sadly, we surrendered 2 points when Moores took him off 7 last night. I totally agree. Actually, Leeds played a blind. If you look at the difference the subs make. Our subs came on, and to be honest, none of them were very good. In all honesty, Leeds Harrison came on and changed the game. That's how a sub should work. You should bring in a guy who will change the game. It's not working one way. We bring him on, and he was exceptional. I thought Harrison. We were linked to him in the summer. I'd love someone like him. His directness is amazing. Schumacher scored a great goal, and like Paqueta will build confidence. Still think him and Packy click. They will get a lot more. Can't understand Moyes taking him off. Me neither. Get him the right place, supporting him, and his goals always pulled off after 60, 70. Sets your watches by it, says Artel. Rusty B also gave Gianluca a 7. Let's just go through the subs quickly. Obviously, Antonio came on for Schumacher with 25 minutes remaining. Somewhat of a surprise. He scored a late winner last season against Leeds. But he's a shadow. You talk about players being a shadow of themselves from previous seasons. He's that. Antonio is that. He really was. I respect what he brings to the game, but he hasn't brought it. He's a unit. The man is a unit. The man is unique. There's only one more player like him in the Premier League, and that's Adama Traore. He can scare people physically and pace. And I'd rather him bring him on as a winger rather than as a striker. Could you imagine him coming on, drifting out to the left, for example, and with Gianluca there, and because he can cross the ball really well. Antonio, he had some good assists last season, and I think that's a real area where we can exploit. 20 minutes, him running at a poor old fullback rather than a big, burly, awful centre-back, he would dominate him. -3 from Martel. 5 is becoming a meme. Antonio 6. I'm going to rush through these quickly. I gave Antonio a 5. A 5. And lastly, we'll do. Oh no, we'll do Cresswell. Have I got Ben right? No, because Benny only came on last few minutes, to be honest. Cresswell obviously came on for left back. What have we got here? Antonio Dreadful did stop a goal going in. No hold up play. Always going to ground a 5 for stopping the goal. And like I said, mate, past it. He's been the same since he started globe trotting with Jamaica. Does not the Antonio from a year ago. He's finished at his level. I was gutted when he came in because I knew he couldn't hold the ball up. I totally agree. Made a very costly error. The old Aaron came on. Obviously, came on for for Sufal and Kira went to right back. Obviously, the costly error for the previous game meant he was dropped. Whether he was dropped or whether there was a realisation that Aronson on the right, Cresswell was not very good with pace. That might be one of the reasons he was dropped. I mean, he came on. Did he do much? Yeah, a few little runs forward. Obviously, then you've got his delivery, which did we really miss yesterday? I don't think so. We had the likes of some good free kicks from Sufal into the box. Bowen, Fornals. I don't think we really missed that delivery, which was so critical, particularly last year. Cresswell 5, 6, better than Kira 6, 4. Cresswell's like, and he's passed He's used by date. Had to come on to Sufal injury at 5. Rusty B also gave Aaron Cresswell a 5. So yeah. And lastly, but no means least, obviously we had the likes of Ben Rama come on. Didn't really have time to impact the game. Similarly, also Flynn didn't really have time to pick. Battled, but not really much to report. Ben Rama, as I said, came on late, little effect. Had a chance at the end, but couldn't find a target. And as Sharky, Ben Johnson's completely out of favour. He must be, innit? Because I think, when you're chasing the game or whatever, bring on Aaron Cresswell. Why not bring on Ben Johnson? Surely that pace would make a big difference. But there we go. It's what it is. We're out of the bottom 3. We started the game when we kicked off in the bottom 3 technically because the other teams have got points. But we drew. Yeah, but the draw kept us out of the bottom 3 on goal difference. We've got 10 days or 9 days now until Wolves, who, people talk about, it's quite funny because we talk about, the boys going and whatnot, and we should have gone at the World Cup. You look at this, there's 3 managers have come in before that World Cup. You got Nathan Jones, you had Unai Emery, and you had Lopetegui. Only Unai Emery's seen a bounce with Villa. And people go, you see, that's why you should bring in a manager. But then the other 2, I think Lopetegui hasn't done anything with Wolves since, really, in all honesty. And Nathan Jones, Southampton just as bad with Nathan Jones as they were with Ralph Ursula. So I think we've got a real opportunity to do a number on Wolves. They're bereft of confidence. And then we go to Everton with Fat Frank. Hopefully he's still in charge by then. Because, it always is quite fun at London Stadium. Obviously, there'll be the tribute to David Gold as well at that Everton game. That'll be the first home game since the passing of DG. And then we've got Forest as well, who, so not saying 9 points, but could you imagine? Make a hell of a difference. Going into then some trickier games, the likes of Newcastle and stuff like that. But actually, I think we play better when we play those types of sides. So, I think January and February are critical, but I think every game's critical. And, people are looking at games ahead. For me, it's the next game. It's the next game. So, I'm not really too bothered about the Brentford game in the Cup. I don't know. When it breeds confidence, I think we'll play our European side for that game, if that makes sense, because we haven't got any European games until March. So I would do that. London's asked, should we put out a strong? Will we put out, I don't think we will. I think Brentford will, because I think Brentford will fancy themselves in the, particularly with so many sort of London clubs getting out of the Carabao Cup so early on this season. The likes of Arsenal, Spurs, Chelsea. If they want silverware, the FA Cup is the realistic one for them. So, and Brentford, they're in a position now where they haven't got Europe to play for. They haven't got, they could have a good go. Brentford, I think. Brentford will be up for it. As long as we see a good performance, I'm not. It's not saying we'll throw the cup away, but I think for us, it's the Premier League and then the Conference League are the two priorities for us. Obviously, we're less games away. Are we less games away? If we win those games, we'll be less the FA Cup. So we've got FA Cup, we've got third round, fourth round, fifth round, quarters, semis, final. Maybe, I want to say. Whereas the Conference will have the 16 legs. No, it's one game more. I think it's 7 games left. If we win 7 games, we'll be in the Europa League. I don't know. I'm just contradicting myself, but that's always the way. Give Divine a go. I think he might feature the Brentford game. I think maybe Ollie Scars might feature as well, or definitely be on the bench. I think, likes of Ben Johnson will be playing, or will he? Because actually that would devalue him, because obviously it would mean that he would be cup tied. It's going to be quite interesting, I think, in terms of who plays. Kurt will probably be back for the Wolves game. Does that mean that maybe it's Ogbonna and Dawson? By playing Dawson, does that devalue him because he's cup tied? So will Wolves want to buy him? That was the one club that he was looking at him. I don't know. I think it's going to be quite interesting. I think you'll see who potentially could be leaving in January based on who plays in the FA Cup, because obviously that cup ties them. So, the likes of Lanzini I can see playing. I can see the likes of Ogbonna playing. We know Areola will be in goal. We may even see Cresswell back at left back. Maybe see Emerson actually maybe at left back. Maybe they play back 3. I don't know. He won't dig out Rice. That's the difference. Betty, a much easier target. Agreement Rice hasn't signed a new deal, but plays him very unfair. Well, Rice is the captain, and he's been quite open, I think, about that in terms of what he wants to do, in all honesty. Yeah, I know what you mean. Should beat Forest at home. You hope you feel better. Yeah, it's getting better. It's weird. Literally, as soon as I got back off, I had like a sore throat before I left for America. As soon as I got back off the plane in Gatwick, this cold just turns up. Put Ashby in there. I don't think they will, because again that reduces his value for Newcastle. If Scars plays well, he might be the answer. He's young though, isn't he? He's very young. Moisey lacks modern man management skills. Very poor, says Artel. Right, guys. So anyway, tonight we've got Hammer's headlines about 3 o'clock-ish. Transfer rumours, some interesting rumours that people have been linked with. Particularly in discussions that we've had today about strikers and defenders, so keep an eye out for that. Anton will be doing the 5 things we've learned from the Leeds game. That'll be out this evening. I'll be on the Football Nation podcast. Check him out on the YouTube channel. I think we'll be on about 9 o'clock live on YouTube, so check that out and show those guys some support, some love. And I'll be back tomorrow. I'll either have you say Friday and the Moyes' press conference for the Brentford game and all that type of good stuff. So take care, everyone. As I said, if you're new and give a like, give a comment, give a share, give a subscribe. Also tomorrow night we'll have the Late Late Show with Irish Tommy. Be interested to get his take on the Leeds game and where that. We know how he feels about David Moyes. Be interested to get his opinion on that. So feel free to join us tomorrow night for that and all that good stuff. If you want to be a channel member, consider it. Hit the button down there and you get entered into all the prize draws. We'll be doing our January prize draw next week. Monday tomorrow for some memorabilia. Some signed memorabilia and all that good stuff. So take care, everyone. Stay safe, stay warm, stay healthy. Keep the faith. Has the rot stopped? Let me know in the comments below. Or are we just delayed inevitable? Let me know in the comments below. Take care. Bye.
It's like a family tree, part of you and part of me. And if we should separate,